What is up, guys? I've recently gotten some questions asking about the state of NVIDIA, whether this is the end. Is NVIDIA dying with DeepSeek and these other AI models coming out? Or is this just a little bump in the road and NVIDIA is going to bounce back as it always does? And I'm going to be talking you guys through both point of views here. NVIDIA is looking pretty bearish right now. We're going to do the chart first and then talk about financials. We all know NVIDIA is a great company, so we will talk about that later in the video. But for now, let's go ahead and look at the chart. There's a few things to break down here. You can see we obviously left this huge gap up from 129 to 141. That could easily get filled, especially with earnings coming up. And the earnings date for that is going to be on the 26th. I think that may be wrong on Webull, but on here it's saying February 26th, so we will have to wait until that day. But for now, NVIDIA is looking pretty bearish, dropping out of this wedge. I do have this zone down here where I am deciding that this is kind of my demand zone, where I think a lot of shares are going to get bought up. You can see with the long wicks coming out of here, and then a lot of the consolidation through there. So I do think once we do get this bounce, wherever that may be, we do fill this gap eventually, and worst case scenario, I think we do drop down to this demand zone around the 100 to 80 range. I know it's a pretty big range, but anything within that we're buying anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I do want to switch over to the weekly chart and talk about one important thing. When people are getting bearish on NVIDIA, it is almost quite funny when you do look at the chart like this where it is just straight up. Now, there is a few things that we can have concern about. That is going to be dropping under this 50 EMA. That would be a little concerning. And really the only reason that's going to be concerning is because we have only done that once in about the last couple years. The last time we touched the EMA, the 50 EMA, the last time we touched the 50 EMA on the weekly chart was back in early 2023. It was actually within the first 2 weeks of 2023. So it's been 2 years since we have touched it. So I do think it is a healthy sign for you to touch the 50 EMA here. It is almost more unhealthy the longer it went without touching it. So I do think that is a bullish sentiment on that side, especially if we can get a bounce off of that. And if not, I think if we do fall through this 50 EMA, I think we do find our way into this demand zone around that $100 range. I would be surprised if we go much lower than, I'll draw out 3 targets for you guys. These would be my 3 targets to buy at right around here. Now, I don't expect to go exactly this low. I'll delete this demand zone here and make these a different color. I don't really expect to go that low. I would say that this yellow line here is kind of where my median buy would be. This is where I'd be accumulating all of my shares, or most of my shares. And then down here at this red level is where I'd be grabbing the rest. I think it kind of go in sequential order like that, where the blue line, we're grabbing a lot, and then the yellow line, it increases, and that's where we're, getting happy with the position we have. And if there was a move back up, I'm totally fine with the amount of shares I own by now. And then that red is just, hey, we're getting some extra shares at a discount, and I'm not going to complain about that, so I'm going to keep buying. I do plan to open a position on NVIDIA sub 100. I have some funds and some other things right now and just don't have room for it. But I think sub 100 would be my buying range. I think if you're looking for a solid stock, this is probably the best chance right now. And everyone knows what NVIDIA is doing. It's not dying, guys. We're about to get into the financials, and it really is not dying. This DeepSeek stuff isn't going to impact it. The Baba stuff is not going to impact it. If anything, they are going to help NVIDIA run better in the future. Because if you do look, one of the main things that people are missing out is they are using NVIDIA's GPUs to make their own AI. So once they do that, NVIDIA can just do the same thing with their own GPUs, and it's their GPUs, so they're only going to make it better. Really, this is honestly going to be bullish for them in the long term, I do believe. I think it's only going to help them learn and get better as a company, as they always have. They have bounced back from any adversity that they have ever faced. People have been saying that Taiwan's going to be invaded, and that hasn't happened for 3-4 years. I understand it's still totally possible, but I'm saying if we would have blocked out NVIDIA 3 years ago, you would have missed out on, 1,000% gain. So I think calling NVIDIA dead right here is kind of a crazy statement. A few other things is we're going to have our price targets here. You can see if we were to bounce off the 50 EMA here, I have my Fibonacci retracement drawn out, and that would bring us quickly up to this 177 area with a bounce back, which would be a pretty nice return from this area, and that would be around 47%. But we know NVIDIA likes to outperform, so we can go ahead and draw a true price target to around 79% at that $250 range, $215 range for the end of the year. And then if we do something like NVIDIA always seems to do, where they outperform like crazy, we can see 100% up to 254, and then maybe 130% up to 278. Both of those are high probability, honestly, just because of the name. We know how NVIDIA works. They like to go on those crazy runs. Any dip that you can get, you have to buy because they are so scarce. Like I said, you have not even seen the 50-day EMA since well back into 2023. It's been 2 years now. And touching this EMA isn't even a bearish sign. That is more bullish for the stock long term. So I expect a bounce off of that. And then quickly talking about upcoming financials and earnings for NVIDIA. NVIDIA did report quarterly revenue of full year revenue in 2024 of $60 billion with net income of 29.76. That is almost a 50% profit range for NVIDIA, and their net income along with revenues are still growing. And they're still growing at an insane clip. Their valuation, they are almost undervalued right now at $3.5 trillion or whatever they're at. Probably less now, probably a little bit under 3 trillion. But nonetheless, where they're at right now, they are most likely undervalued, which is crazy to say. A lot of analysts still have their price targets from 150 to 175 to 200, and some are into the low to mid 200s, I believe, around 225 to 250, which is crazy to think that this stock could be 225 to 250 and double again this year, especially after the decade that it's had. But this is not out of the realm of possibilities. If we look at the monthly chart, this stock is basically straight up. Taking a dip here doesn't mean much. You can see the last time we even really had a dip in this stock was back here. You could consider this a dip, but it got bought up immediately. And these are why I expect these to be some of my price targets. You can see these long wicks right here where the stock is getting bought up. That is a great sign that that is a area where investors want shares. So I am going to be jumping in with the rest of them once these targets are hit. And those targets are going to be 101, 90, and 77. I'm going to be buying up all around there. And I highly recommend that you guys do too. But that is going to be really wrapping up the rest of the video. I do not think DeepSeek is going to break this stock. I do not think this stock is dead whatsoever. They bring in $60 billion a year and keep $30 billion worth of that. I think they're going to be all right. I think NVIDIA is going to withhold this storm, and I think this is going to blow over. And at the end of the year, when you see a 100 or 200, next year 100% on NVIDIA's year-to-date totals, this will all be a laughing remark. Everyone will be like, if you bought the shares, you're going to be laughing at the people who didn't. And if you didn't buy the shares, you're going to be crying because the people who did made a bag. So I think this is a great spot to buy NVIDIA, and I highly recommend that you guys do so. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below what videos you guys want to see me make next. I can definitely get those out for you guys. And then lastly, we have our Discord link down below. Make sure you guys click on that and check it out. We do have a free option now for you guys to check it out before jumping into premium. And that was it from me, guys. That was NVIDIA. I recommend a buy right here, and I will see you guys in the next video.